everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Mademoiselle Lena, and you can find me online at www.conjureknits.com. Today is May the 5th, Happy Cinco de Mayo, and we are here for our virtual book club. We have been reading Enchantment of the Faerie Realm by Ted Andrews, and we have been having such an incredible time. So, go ahead. You can drop your comments below, introduce yourself. If you have any questions, let me know. At any time, if you want, we can stop and discuss what they're talking about. But in the meantime, without any further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. So it looks like we're on chapter 7 today, and it's going to be about the warmth of the fire spirits.
7. The warmth of the fire spirits. Fire first belonged to the gods. In many societies, there are ancient myths of fire stealers. One of the most well-known examples is the Greek tale of Prometheus, who stole fire from Zeus so that humans could live. For this sacrifice, he was chained to a rock while an eagle tore at his liver. Fire has always been regarded as something mysterious. The manner in which smoke melts into the air was considered magical. Even today, we give a great deal of significance to the power of fire. This is reflected in the way it is still used within our everyday speech. We have wildfires, forest fires, a sea of flames, and bonfires. We have fireworks and fiery tongues. We fire salutes, and we get fired up about things. We even have fire eaters, and expressions such as light my fire, carrying a torch, and flames of passion further demonstrate how fire has permeated all aspects of our life in one way or another. The beings of the fire realm also permeate all aspects of our life. They are much more varied than we often imagine. There are, of course, the tiny salamanders who are found wherever there is flame or heat. The flames of candles and fireplaces can be wonderful places to introduce yourself to fire fairies. Simply allow yourself to relax and focus on the flames. Watch as it dances and moves. As you gaze at the fire, allow your mind to follow the flames. You will begin to notice tiny forms within the flames themselves. You will begin to notice faces appearing and disappearing. There are also smoke spirits and sun fairies riding each ray of light. There are fire spirits within the molten centers of the earth and living in volcanic areas. There are fire spirits who manifest through lightning. There are fire fairies that work closely with and assist our own personal salamanders. This includes those who align with us for the activation and control of the Kundalini energy. Kundalini is an Eastern Sanskrit term meaning coiled. It is the serpent energy. It represents the primal creative energy that unites and activates our energy centers. It is linked to primal sexual energy, but it is the seat of energy used for all creative activity. It is the creative life fire that opens us to new consciousness. There are fire fairies of sexuality, drawn to wherever the sexual act is occurring. They serve to heighten the fires of sexual response. Some of the fire fairies are drawn to and work specifically with those passionate about a creative activity, especially musical composers. While their energy is easily directed and controlled through the creative activity, it can be difficult to find appropriate channels for their energies outside of such activities. Many of the great classical composers led very passionate, turbulent, and often emotionally unstable lives. Mozart, Schumann, and Wagner are but a few. Although there is no actual proof, when we consider the influence of fire spirits upon the emotions, It is likely that their presence may have augmented such conditions. While the music was a controlling channel for the fire spirit influence during composition and performance, there was no such balanced channel for their influence in other avenues of their lives. There are also those of the fire realm who sometimes, although rarely, serve as patrons or patronesses. This will be covered more in Chapter 11 when we discuss fairy godmothers. Those who do serve in this category often appear in the traditional genie form, as is depicted in some of the myths and tales from Persia and the Middle East. There are fire fairies and spirits who work with our personal, mundane fires, stimulating body heat, eroticism, and physical energy, etc. There are also fire fairies and spirits who assist us with our spiritual fires, developing mysticism, clarity of spiritual thought, etc. Wherever we perform rituals, fire spirits will be found, especially in those rituals performed to stimulate any form of fertility. Those of the fire realm are the most difficult to work with. They are very aloof, as fire is both destructive and creative. Although some societies have worshipped fire gods and goddesses above all else, most societies have held its force in great awe. Sometimes, the fire fairies and spirits are the most difficult to control. This is not just because the energy is so dynamically primal. There is that. But it is because they are so very intelligent. Often so much more than the fairies and spirits of the other realms. Their intelligence has given them what seems to be a great sense of independence. Another reason they are difficult to understand and attune to is that they are always moving, except for those of specific environments, molten areas within the earth, volcanoes, etc. Many of them move freely about. Wherever a flame is being ignited, they move to that area. Wherever heat is stimulated, they move to that area. I have heard that of all the beings of the fairy realm, the fire fairies seem to have the least interest in and curiosity about humans. I have not found this to be true, although they are a bit more difficult to detect and to work with, and they can initially show great indifference. They are always around where human fires and flames are being stimulated, physical or otherwise. They have such a vitalizing effect that they can stimulate strong emotional currents and passions that can be difficult to control. Most humans have difficulty handling exceedingly stirring emotions, but with patience and self-discipline, a working relationship with fire fairies can become intimate, powerful, and beneficial. There are qualities that are universally attributed to most fire fairies and spirits. 1. Fire fairies are called into being by the rhythms of fire and manifestation of heat. 2. They often appear in shades of colors associated with fire, that is, reds, oranges, and yellows. This includes those spirits working through smoke and lightning. 3. Although they do not take the forms of animals or other creatures frequently, they will occasionally do so. They most commonly appear in the form of dragons and other mythical fire creatures. See Chapter 10, Fireflies, Snakes, and Other Reptiles. 4. Music and strong rhythms are very enticing to them. 5. They stimulate great passion, sexual and otherwise. 6. They often appear in more of a masculine form, but we must be careful about drawing assumptions based on the form and the frequency of that form. 7. Although more numerous in warmer climates and seasons, the fire fairies are not confined to any particular area. During the summer, they accumulate solar energy that will sustain them through the cooler winter months. 8. They can be dynamic catalysts for change and transformation. They are agents for the processes of destruction and creation. 9. They hold the keys to the lessons of life after death and the mysteries surrounding it. This is most evidenced by the fire spirit that uses the form of the mythical phoenix that rises from its own ashes. Refer to Chapter 10. 10. They instill great inspiration and spiritual perception, and they hold the keys to the magical processes of alchemy. The fire fairies and spirits operate within all aspects of life, and not just within the physical aspects of fire itself. They operate in everything, from body heat to solar fires, from the fires of intellect to the fires of the soul's development. They are here to assist humanity through the fire initiation. Part of this initiation is the traditional baptism of fire. This encompasses the trials of strength. In this, we begin to open our eyes so that we can see the dross that must eventually be burned out. It also involves discovering our true relationship with others and what those relationships teach us about ourselves. The turmoils, the changes, are the fires of our experience. Each person shows us something about ourselves. We may not always like it, and we may even try to ignore it. Regardless, we should try to learn from it, as difficult as it can be. Knowledge, like fire, can burn. Through the fire fairies and spirits, we learn to distinguish between fire and flame. Fire is the force that lies behind the physical manifestations of all flames. Through them, we learn to utilize the forces of fire, be they the forces found within the flames of candles or the flames of inspiration. Fire brings more than just warmth. It also brings light. It enables us to see. As we learn to connect with the fire fairies, we also learn how spiritual and physical fires operate within our lives and our consciousness. Our perceptions extend, and we begin to see the infinite possibilities for new growth, created by the fires of life's experiences. Through learning to connect with the fairies and spirits of fire, we gain many benefits. 1. Fire spirits enhance our passions, physical and spiritual. 2. They can become agents of transmutation, transformation, and regeneration. 3. The fire fairies stimulate greater understanding of the primal love of spirit and our own creative life force. 4. They assist us in awakening, developing, and controlling Kundalini energy. 5. They assist us in seeing that which needs to be torn down and that which can help us recreate in our lives. 6. They teach us the physical and spiritual aspects of alchemy. 7. They stimulate creativity, courage, higher vision, and idealism. 8. They can help prevent us from dissipating our life force through self-indulgence and sensual excess. 9. They help us bring forth our own spiritual fires, so that matter becomes obedient to the will. The force of our spiritual fire is the primal force of creative expression. 10. They help us in recognizing the laws of cause and effect as they manifest within our own life or the lives of others. They can assist us in making the laws of cause and effect work for us in every avenue of life. 11. They assist us in developing great catalytic healing energies. 12. They can teach us the true significance, power, and applications of sexual energy, physically and spiritually. Exercise 1. Fire Fairies and Fire Readings. One dynamic and simple way of learning to attune and work with fire fairies and spirits is through psychic fire readings. It enables you to work with their energies and to extend your perceptions. Remember that one quality of fire is light. Forms of fire divination and scrying have been employed in various societies. Pyromancy is the technical name for utilizing fire and smoke for divination purposes. This can be as simple as interpreting which way the flame moves in response to questions. It can also involve carving questions on wood or writing on parchment, and then setting the parchment upon the fire. The resulting flames and smoke provide the clues to the question's answer. Fire divination used to be the domain of shamans, priests, and priestesses. It was often performed in a ritualistic manner and after strict preparations. It is becoming a scarce tradition. This is sad, for it is a powerful way of opening the psyche. Although some fire rituals still require strict preparations, the average person can easily learn to do his or her own variation of a fire reading with some basic knowledge. Some people that perform fire readings only do so at certain times of the year, such as on New Year's Eve, to foresee the upcoming year's patterns. Others use it every time they build a fire. Some use it to answer basic questions and achieve solutions to current problems. Others use it to detect spirit guides, determine life patterns, uncover past life information, and foretell the future. A fire reading is a means of opening your own psyche to the subtle energies, patterns, and forces around you. It invites the fire fairies and spirits into your environment, with the express purpose of heightening your psychic perceptions. Through the fire, they can help you determine and detect spirit guides, as well as patterns for the future. Each time you read fire, your ability to perceive and respond to the fire fairies and spirits will increase. Fire stimulates contemplation. It draws you into it. It has a hypnotic effect. The rhythm of the flames, their movement, the crackling sound, all work together to induce an altered state of consciousness. You are more relaxed, and your perceptions are heightened. Fires will also change according to what is fueling them. Different kinds of wood will burn at different temperatures and intensity of flame. An examination of the tree spirits in Chapter 9 and the qualities of those trees can give you ideas about choosing the wood appropriate to the intention of the reading. For example, applewood is powerful to burn in fire readings for perceiving mythic beings and creatures that are in your life. Pinewood can facilitate readings of past lives. Birch bark and oak are effective for any sort of fire reading. The form and activity of the flames alter according to the substance they are feeding upon. Our thoughts and what intent we put into the building of the fire will affect how the flames and fire spirits will respond. There are a number of ways of performing fire readings. The method coming up is one of the simplest, and it will invite the fire fairies, salamanders, and fire spirits more tangibly into your life. 1. Any fire is sufficient to do a fire reading. A small bonfire outside is very effective. A fire in the fireplace can be a dynamic tool for communing with the fire fairies. Even the flame of a single candle can be used, although a larger fire is more effective for a reading. If you do use candles, I suggest using a number of them and forming them into a circle no greater than 12 inches in diameter in front of you. The circle will provide a sacred space in which the flames, smoke, and heat can manifest images and other psychic phenomena for your perception. 2. I have found that a fire reading at night is much more effective than during the day. The reason I believe this is so is because the light of the fire, juxtaposed with the darkness of the night, creates an intersection between the worlds. It is thus much easier to connect with the fire fairies. Midnight is also an intersection, and it can enhance the effects even more. Whatever time you choose, do it deliberately. 3. Take time prior to the lighting of the fire to meditate and think about the essence of fire, its symbolism, and all of the beings associated with it. Take time to visualize your purpose for the reading. Make sure you visualize the fire responding to you and giving forth the information you seek. 4. Gather the material for your fire. On a piece of parchment or on a piece of wood, write out what it is you wish to have the fire reveal to you. When you perform the meditation and visualization discussed, have this material on you. Hold it against the heart, the internal center for fire. Perform a deep, rhythmic breathing. With each breath, know that this piece of parchment or wood is becoming charged with your intent. Know that this intent will help shape the flames and smoke of the fire itself, so that it will reveal what you seek. 5. As you light the fire, do so with full intent. Don't think of it as starting a fire, but as creating fire. You are creating fire and light where there was none. You are sending out a call throughout the entire universe, inviting those of the Faerie Realm to assist you. See the fire as the creation of a doorway between your world and the world of fairies. As this doorway lights up, know that your own aura will brighten and strengthen as a result of this communion. 6. Take a seated position in front of the fire. Choose a distance that is comfortable. If possible, refrain from placing a screen in front of the fire throughout the reading. Take a deep breath. Allow the heat and light to dance over you. Feel the fire. Know that as the flames rise, the activity and presence of the fire fairies and spirits grows stronger. Try and see the flames as actual living beings. 7. When you feel yourself becoming entranced and dazed by looking into the fire, take your piece of wood or parchment and set it in the midst of the fire itself. If you are using candles, have a metal plate or bowl inside the inner circle of candles. Ignite the parchment from one of the candles and set it in that metal plate to burn. 8. Now pay attention to the smoke and the flames. Allow yourself to become lost in the fire itself. Just relax and watch. Use a soft focus, that kind of dazed, staring into nothingness look we get when daydreaming. Simply observe and note what you see. Do the flames seem to go more to the right or left? Is the smoke darker or thinner? Do you see any faces and forms? Is your mind wandering? Don't worry about this. With fire readings, the mind wandering is often psychically related. Those scenes you wander to often reflect what is going to happen or has a likelihood of happening. These can be literal or symbolic. Pay attention to everything you see or imagine you see within the fire. It all has significance. Most people, even on their first attempt, usually at least see faces. Spirit guides, friends and relatives who have passed on, individuals who are coming back into their life, individuals who will be very important in the days ahead, etc. 9. Think about each thing you wrote on the parchment or wood. Focus on it and speak it silently or audibly to the fire itself. It will respond. Watch, imagine, and trust. 10. Once you have gotten the answers, allow the fire to burn itself out. Give thanks to those fire fairies, salamanders, and fire spirits for communicating to you through the fire. Send them a blessing. Initially, do not spend more than a half hour on this. Remember that fire beings have a powerful influence. They can be overstimulating. We want to learn to work with them in a controlled manner. It is easy to become lost in the enchantment of fire. Take time at the end of the fire reading to record what you have seen, what you thought you imagined, or any other perceptions you may have had. You will find that by recording them, they will make themselves clearer. Pay close attention to your dreams after a fire reading. The fire spirits will often continue their communication in the dream state. Experiment with this method. Remember that the fire fairies and spirits help stimulate creative expression. You will soon find yourself inspired to work with them in your own unique manner. Exercise 2. Fire fairies and smoke billets. A billet is a tool for the development of clairvoyance and for manifestation of psychic phenomena. It is used today most often by spiritualists. An individual will write his or her name and birth date on a piece of paper, sometimes with specific questions. The individual then holds it for several minutes to further charge the paper with his or her energy. The paper is then given to the medium or psychic, and through psychometry, touching the paper, clairvoyant information is relayed to the individual whose name is on the paper. Psychometry is the faculty of divining facts and information about an object or a person to whom the object belongs. By signing one's name to the billet, the piece of paper, a physical link is established that helps the psychic attune more readily to the individual. A smoke billet operates a little differently, for it employs fairies of fire and smoke to imprint upon the billet images important to the individual. The billet is signed just as described. Then the medium or psychic holds the paper above a lit candle. It is moved around so that smoke and fumes from the candle accumulate on the paper. The psychic then looks at the smoke pattern and tries to see images and patterns within it. Sometimes they reveal faces, events, symbols, etc. These are then interpreted for the individual whose name is upon the billet. You do not have to be a psychic or a medium to be able to use smoke billets. It is, in fact, a wonderful way to attune to the fire fairies, work with them, and at the same time develop your own higher intuition. The process is simple. 1. You will need a candle for this exercise. I recommend that any candle you use be used strictly for this. You may use the same candle over and over again, but don't use a candle for smoke billets that you also use for other purposes. A red or orange candle, or a candle of any color that symbolizes fire, will enhance the effects. If unsure, simply use a white candle. Make sure you dress and bless the candle for your purpose. You may anoint the candle by rubbing various oils into it, from the center out toward each end. While you do this, concentrate on the purpose of this candle: to invoke fire spirits for stimulating clairvoyant information through smoke billets. Visualize the fire fairies gathering and fulfilling what you wish to accomplish. Saying a prayer with the candle, dedicating it to its purpose, is also beneficial. You may wish to include the names of the archangel and the king of the fire element in this prayer, Michael and Jinn. For more information on preparations of candles, you may wish to consult Practical Candle Burning Rituals by Raymond Buckland. 2. You will also need paper. You may use any size paper, but a 6-inch by 6-inch piece is efficient. Parchment is also more effective than regular paper, as the smoke runs more, forming more intricate patterns. 3. Choose a time in which you will not be disturbed. Now, write your name and birth date on a piece of the paper you have prepared. Hold it in the heart or solar plexus area with both hands, and begin to perform rhythmic breathing. Inhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, and exhale for a count of 4. As you do this, visualize this paper becoming charged with your essence and your purpose. After several minutes of this, allow your breathing to become slow and regular. 4. Close your eyes now and perform a progressive relaxation. Keep holding the paper against you while you do this. Take time to reflect upon the element of fire, its significance, and the fire fairies and elementals that will be drawn to you through this exercise. Visualize them forming the smoke in patterns on the paper that will enable you to detect spirit guides, along with other significant symbols and information. 5. Now light the candle. Know that as you do, you are participating in a creative act. You are creating fire and light where there was none. As the candle flame comes to life, see it as a call going forth to the fire spirits to work with you. You may even offer up a thank you in appreciation for their help ahead of time. 6. Now take the billet and hold it several inches above the flame of the candle. You want it close enough that the heat and smoke will accumulate, but not close enough to burn it. With practice, you will determine what works best. It will vary according to the quality of the candle. 7. Slowly move the paper around in different patterns and circles over the flame. Try and cover as much of the middle section of the billet as possible. It's okay to occasionally pull it away and check the coverage. 8. Now hold the smoke billet in front of you and just let yourself relax as you gaze at the smoke patterns on it. What do you see? Do any of the patterns resemble anything? Don't worry that it might be your imagination. Those images you see will have significance for you, or you would not have been able to discern them, imagined or not. The billet is a tool to activate your clairvoyance with the aid of fire fairies. Look for faces, symbols, objects, and anything that you personally can see within the smoky pattern upon the paper. Turn the paper in various directions to make sure you see it from all perspectives. 9. Take your time with this. You will see images within the paper. It will be up to you to determine the significance of those images. Faces may be spirit guides, relatives who have passed on, or even symbols of certain activities you may encounter in the day ahead. Trust your instincts. Remember that fire fairies heighten perceptions, and however you interpret the images will probably be correct. It is beneficial to record your perceptions and the date. If you can do this on the back of the billet, it can serve as a wonderful record. 10. Give thanks to the fire fairies for what they have helped bring you. Extinguish the candle and put it away until next time. Save the billet. Do not discard it. It is sometimes beneficial to wrap the billet in plastic.
Counter in the day
Place
ahead.
it where it can't be disturbed for several days. Go back and look at it again each of the next 2 days. The interesting thing about most smoke billets is that they will change over time. Images will become more distinct, or entirely new images may appear. You will see this happen even in this short period of time. Hold on to the billet for several months, and occasionally go back and re-examine it. Do you detect anything new? Did what you detected the first time bear itself out for you in any way? You may even wish to keep a scrapbook of smoke billets. In many ways, it is like a photo album, depicting your growing relationship with the fire fairies. Exercise 3. Understanding the fire element through myths. Just as with the other 3 elements, there are a variety of mythic figures and beings associated with the fire element, and the various manifestations of its force. Many of these mythic figures demonstrate characteristics and behaviors similar to the fire fairies and spirits. An examination of the myths will provide clues to understanding the force of fire that we open to by connecting with the fire fairies and beings. Read about and study the following figures, and you will expand your perceptions of the Faerie Realm operating through the element of fire. It will also enhance your receptiveness to all ethereal realms of life. Typhoeus, Greek and Sicilian. Monster whose shoulders bore 100 dragon's heads, each with a darting black tongue and eyes which spurted searing flame. Agni, Hindu, god of fire and guardian of man. Surya, Hindu, dazzling sun god. Ra, Egyptian, sun god. Arina, Phoenician, sun goddess. Xihuatecuatli, Nahuatl, god of fire. Brigid, Celtic, fire goddess. Hestia, Greek, goddess of the hearth. Hephaestus or Vulcan, Greco-Roman, god of fire and metalworking. Mahui Iki, Polynesian, queen of the fiery underworld. Apollo, Greek, god of the sun. Prometheus, Greek, Titan who stole fire from Olympus and gave it to man. Latiaran, Irish, goddess who carried a seed of fire. Loki, Scandinavian, fire demon. Parbauti, Scandinavian, god who gave birth to fire. Ushas, Hindu, dawn goddess said to be either the mother or lover of the sun. Maya or Feronia, Greco-Roman, fire goddess who ruled the forces of growth and warmth, including sexual heat. Tu Njami, Siberian, Mother Fire. Exercise 4. Attuning to fire spirits through fairy tales. Many folk and fairy tales provide insight into the fire spirits and beings. These stories can help draw them to you more tangibly, and they can provide clues on how best to work with them. By reading what has been written about the spirits of fire, you invite their presence. Just as with all life forms, if you show an interest in them, they will respond. So be patient and persistent. The following list is a starting point for learning about and working with the spirits of fire. The stories will expand your perceptions and help initiate a more personal relationship with them. Aladdin and His Wonderful Lamp, Chinese and Middle Eastern. The Tinderbox, Danish. Beauty and the Beast, European. Loki and the Treasures of the Gods, Norwegian. The Necklace of Brissings, Norwegian. Snake Magic, Swahili. The Fire Children, West African. The Fire on the Mountain, Ethiopian. St. George and the Dragon, British. St. Dunstan and the Devil, British. The Firefly Princess and Her Lovers, Japanese. Prometheus and the Stealing of Fire, Greek. Phaethon and Apollo's Chariot, Greek. Moses and the Burning Bush, Biblical. Daughter of the Sun, Cherokee.
I'm going to stop it right here because I did notice that there's one really popular fire goddess that wasn't mentioned, and that is Pele. She's the goddess of the volcanoes over in Hawaii, and she's very, very interesting. So if you guys want to research that one, that would be amazing. She is such a beautiful and, wow, she's just extraordinary because she turns the fire, it makes the rock liquid and then it's hard again, and she builds paths and all kinds of stuff. Denise, we're doing a virtual book club at the moment. We're not doing readings, anything like that. In fact, Tanya is not even here. She is just kind enough to allow us to host the virtual book club on her page. So that's something that you need to send her a private message about. All right, so let's go ahead and get back to it, but I did want to mention Pele.
As with the other elements, we can use tales as a form of meditation to open to those fire spirits and fairies. Through this form of meditation, the tale becomes a bridge between the mortal world and the fiery realm of fairies. 1. This exercise is most effective when performed outside, where you can sit or lie in the sun. Warm, sunny days with few or no clouds are most effective. You may also perform this with great effect by sitting in front of your fireplace, or even by having a lit candle in front of you. 2. Find a time when you will be undisturbed. Choose a tale that reflects the element of fire or those fairies and beings that have a fiery quality about them. Reread the story to familiarize yourself with it. 3. Allow yourself to relax. Perform a progressive relaxation. 4. If you haven't already, close your eyes. Feel the sun on your face and body if you are performing this outside. If sitting before your fireplace, feel the heat. How does it feel? Imagine you are being caressed by the heat of the sun. Feel yourself drawing the warmth and light into your body. Breathe deeply of its energy, and know that as you do, you are calling forth your own personal salamander to help you attune to the element of fire even more strongly. 5. As you relax, begin to visualize the scene changing around you. You are standing at the base of a great volcano. The earth about you is charred and parched. Steam rises from cracks in the earth. The sun is strong upon your face. The whole area seems parched and lifeless. Although the sun is warm upon you, it is not uncomfortable. In fact, you find it stimulating and powerful. With each breath, you seem to draw more of its energy into you. As you take in your breath, the earth trembles slightly, and flame and steam erupt suddenly from the mouth of the volcano above you. The colors are so bright and strong, the sun is lost behind them. And then, just as suddenly, all is still. You are not afraid. Somehow you know that in spite of the activity, there is no danger. You are thrilled at being able to observe such a powerful sight. Again, you feel the earth tremble beneath your feet. Steam rises from the fissures at the base of the volcano. You look about you, amazed as the steam shifts and dances. It thickens and seems to move toward you from all directions. As it begins to form around you, cloaking you, you are amazed at its softness. It is warm and soothing, and it has a gentleness to it that is exciting. The volcano above you is lost to your sight. Even the sky is no longer visible as you are lost in the swirling steam. And then it begins to diminish. It shifts and dances, breaking up, scattering. As the steam dissipates and recedes, you find you are no longer standing at the base of the volcano, but you are now in an entirely different scene. 6. At this point, visualize the primary scene of the fairy tale you have chosen for your meditation. Visualize yourself as the main character, stepping into the storyline. Imagine yourself interacting with the people, the fairies, and the element of fire itself, found within the circumstances of this tale. 7. You do not have to hold strictly to the storyline. Adjust it according to your own will. Use your creative imagination. 8. At the end of the story, visualize yourself being surrounded again by steam rising up from the ground. As it forms around you, you faintly hear the deep rumbles of the volcano. The fairy tale scene is completely hidden from view by the steam. As the steam begins to recede, you see the open sky and feel the warmth of the sun, strong and healing upon your body. You feel the volcanic earth beneath your feet, and you see yourself again standing at the base of that great volcano. Tiny flames erupt from the mouth of the volcano and from some of the fissures in the earth. You are not afraid. At that moment, you are sure that you see forms and faces within the flames and steam. You begin to understand. This volcano, and even each tiny fissure, is more than just an opening in the earth. This is a point where the mortal world and the fairy realm intersect. You understand that each time you encounter and use this intersection, even if only in meditation, you will strengthen your connection to the fire fairies, spirits, and salamanders. 9. Take slow, deep breaths. As you do, the area becomes hazy. Soon, the entire scene fades. The volcano disappears, and so does the charred earth beneath you. You feel yourself sitting upon that spot in nature where you first began this meditation. Keeping your eyes closed, feel the warmth of the sun or the fire. Is there a difference in the way it feels now? Does it make you feel anything in particular? Can you hear it speaking to you? 10. Now slowly open your eyes and gaze about. As you look about, watch the sunlight reflected off the trees and grass. Do you catch any flickers or sparkles? Are there any glints? Are there any animals near you? Do you feel any tinglings, touches, or warm spots on any particular part of the body? Pay attention to everything you see, feel, and hear. Remember that the fire fairies and spirits are often the most difficult to recognize tangibly. Don't worry that you may be imagining it all. Imagination is not the same as unreality. Take a moment and give thanks to the element of fire and those beings in it for sharing with you. Give thanks and acknowledgement to your own personal salamander. Breathe deeply of the sun or the fire and notice how it makes you feel now. Now go about your day's business, knowing that each time hereafter, the connections and the responses will grow even more dynamic. Exercise 5. Meeting the King of the Salamanders. 1. Begin this meditation just as you did the previous exercise. Find a time and place outdoors, preferably on a sunny day, or where you can sit before a fire. 2. Now close your eyes and take several deep breaths to relax. Breathe in the sun. Know that with each breath, you are aligning with the fire element more closely. Feel the atmosphere around you. Notice how the sun dances upon your face and body. Can you hear it as it caresses you? Now breathe deeply again of the sun's energy, and know that as you do, you are calling forth your own personal salamander to help you in meeting the king of the fire element. 3. As you relax, begin to visualize the scene changing around you. You are standing at the base of a great volcano. The earth about you is charred and parched. Steam rises sporadically from cracks and fissures in the earth. The sun is strong upon your face. The whole area appears parched and lifeless, but you are stimulated, and you know you would not be so if there were no life here. Although the sun is warm upon you, it is not uncomfortable. In fact, you find it powerful and stimulating. With each breath, you seem to draw more of its energy into you, as if you can draw it in and radiate it back out again. As you breathe deeply, the earth trembles beneath your feet. You raise your eyes to the mouth of the volcano above you. Steam and flames erupt suddenly from it, filling the air above with heat and light. The colors of the flames are intense, so strong that the sun is lost behind them. And then, just as suddenly, all is still. You are not afraid. Instinctively, you know that in spite of the activity, there is no danger. In fact, you are thrilled. And you feel more alive than you have felt in ages. Then again, the earth trembles beneath your feet. Some of the fissures and cracks about you widen. Fire and steam pours out from them. It is beautiful. You are amazed at the play of the flames through the steam as it rises up, shifting and dancing. And then you notice it seems to be moving toward you. At first fearful of what its temperature might be, you are surprised to find it warm and soothing. There is a powerful gentleness to it that borders on the erotic, but energizes you on all levels. It is a fire that doesn't burn. As the steam forms around you, the volcano disappears from view, as does the sun. You are immersed in the swirling steam and the dancing flames. And then it begins to change. And as you peer through them, you see the vague outline of a form. The flames and steam actually seem to be dancing about it, as if it were the center of their life and activity. Somehow you know that this must be Jinn, king of the element of fire. You whisper his name, more to yourself than to him, but the flames respond. You feel warm air rush over you, as though you are being breathed upon. The flames and steam shift even more. The figure becomes even more defined. A second time you speak the name, this time louder, bolder, and directly to the form. The flames rise in response, increasing their activity and giving forth more light. The steam shifts and begins to dissipate. The figure becomes even more distinct and even begins to move. A third time you speak the name of Jinn. You sing it out, loud and clear, passionately, as if you are becoming inflamed yourself. The steam parts, the flames rise and then disappear. Jin steps forward to stand before you. He is tall and looks like the traditional genie of lore. He is dressed in brilliant reds and oranges, and you are sure you can see tiny flames dancing in his eyes. His face is passionate and strong, and the energy comes off him in waves, like heat rising from the road on a summer's day. Occasionally, tiny flames leap up and then disappear around him. He motions with his hand to follow him, and you feel a rush of warm air. He begins moving to the mouth of the volcano. You follow. At the edge, you look down and see the molten earth and fires in its heart. Jin reaches down and draws a tiny flame out from the volcano. He then takes one of your hands and holds it, palm up. Your eyes widen, fearful of what the flame might do. You try to pull back, but his eyes fix yours, and a wave of courage and strength fills your being. Your hand steadies, and you nod to him. He places the flame upon the palm of your hand. You laugh, for it tickles. It doesn't burn at all. Jin smiles briefly at your amazement and wonder as you watch the flame dance within your hand. Fire is essential to life. Yes, it can burn and destroy, but it also soothes and creates. You could not exist without fire, nor could anything upon this planet. Wherever life exists, fire also exists, from the heart of the planet to the heart of the human. His voice is filled with great warmth and compassion. You expected one of such an element to speak with the force of great fires. You expected his energy to overwhelm you. When we learn to control our passions, we have control over that which we create. When we have no control over our passions, our inner fire, we are at the mercy of whatever fire may be burning. With no control, life plays you rather than you playing it. The key to controlling the outcome of one's life is control of the fire elements. You must develop the courage to dance with it, burn the old with it, and stimulate new birth. Jin takes the flame from the palm of your hand and drops it back into the volcano. As it touches the center, a ripple of flame spreads out from that point to form a circle of fire. In the midst, images begin to form. You see the earth and the sun and the force of its fire as essential to life upon earth. You see the changes in seasons and how the raising and lowering of temperatures is a catalyst to stages of growth for plants, animals, and humans. Then you see yourself and the fires of your own metabolism. You see how vigorous physical exercise stimulates activity of the fire element within you. You see how it is tied to sexuality and eroticism, physical and mystical. Then the images change. You see the passions you have had and did not act upon. You see those times you used your fires to show courage and strength, if only to fulfill the responsibilities of your life. You see the ideals you wish to explore, and you see where you stepped from them onto easier, safer paths. The images shift again. You see times in which you expressed courage and succeeded, and you see yourself shining with fire at such times. You see the times you went through great changes and upheaval, and you see your own fires growing stronger to help you. You see the many times things have ended and people have left your life, taking with them some of your fire. And you see the many times new people and situations have arisen, stimulating new sparks and fire for you. Most never understand how to use my element. Fire gives courage and strength when there is no one else to depend on. Fire enables us to leave that which is no longer beneficial. Fire enables us to see new opportunities. Yes, fire destroys, but you cannot have destruction without creation. Learning to work with fire is learning to follow your own passions and your own rhythms. Every fire burns unique to itself. It has its own dance pattern. It has its own rhythm. As you follow your own rhythms, your fires grow stronger, and you find that that which did not work now will. As you learn to attune to the element of fire, and those of us who work and live within it, your passion for life will increase. You will find your own personal rhythms for living, and you will find the courage to follow them. It is then that life takes on new light. And no matter what the ashes of your present life circumstances may be, you will rise from them like the phoenix. From the center of that circle of flame, a single flame extends up. It shifts and stretches, rising into the air above the volcano. There, you see it form the mythical bird of rebirth, the phoenix. Then it disappears. Jin extends his hand back into the molten lava of the volcano. As he withdraws it, you see he is holding a piece of flint. He places it within your hand, and as he does, flames and steam rise from all of the fissures around this volcano. The sun reflects off it, and for a moment, you are sure that flash of light from the flint had a musical sound. This is a sign of my promise to work with you and help open the mysteries of fire to you. Fire is powerful, and many societies made sacrifices to gods and goddesses of this element. It burns while it heals. It destroys while it creates. It strengthens and impassions. By learning to work with it, you will learn to bring your greatest passions into manifestation. You will learn what you must release in order to fulfill. It carries great responsibilities. If you accept this, your passions will grow. You will become catalytic in your own life and in the lives of others, for good or bad. You will learn to burn away the dross of your life, to reveal the light of gold beneath. You will find the law of cause and effect manifesting more clearly and more rapidly, for good and bad. You will learn about physical and spiritual alchemy. Your old self will die, so that a new self may be born. If you are unsure of this commitment, leave the flint upon the edge of the volcano. Here it will always remain, until such time as you choose to take it upon yourself. The choice is always yours. The flames from the volcano rise up, extending 10 feet above. Jin nods to you and steps off the edge, into the midst of the flames. They dance around him, growing stronger and brighter, and then they drop quickly down into the volcano itself. The only sign of Jin is the warmth that rises from the lava. You hold the piece of flint before you and examine it. You look at the flames of the inner volcano and the rays of the sun dancing off its edges. The act of striking flint to make fire is powerful and significant. You breathe deeply of the ethereal fires within the air about you. You make your decision, and the image of the volcano and the sun begins to fade. You find yourself back where you started, at the beginning of this meditation. Excerpt from my personal journal. Again, before starting work on the chapter with fire fairies, I performed my fire fairy meditation. As I began, a soft breeze filled my room. As I continued, I noticed the cessation of the breeze and the temperature in the room rising. Throughout the day, the temperature would go up, and by noon, the hot weather was back, with temperatures in the upper 90s and humidity increasing as well. Occasionally, I would look out my window to observe the work at hand behind my house. The workers seemed to be taking more and more breaks because of the heat, but unfortunately, the damage was done. Most of the trees had been taken out, and the earth in that area looked like a desolate wasteland. How appropriate that the area takes on a desert appearance on the days I focus most strongly upon the fire spirits. Continued at the end of chapter 10.
Okay, so what did you guys think about all of that? There was a lot of stuff in this chapter. Not only did we have the meditation, he listed some of the fire gods and goddesses, some of stories, the fairy tales that have to do with fire beings. I did stop and add on Pele because I find her very, very interesting. And then he also, gave some ways of working with divination, through the scrying in the flames, reading the smoke on the parchment or wood. So, have you guys ever tried any of those things? And if you did, what was the outcome? I'm going to give you just a minute here while I bookmark next week's chapter. So, next week we'll be going over finding the flower fairies. No, you've never done any of those kinds of work. Did you find it interesting? Right. I used to find myself actually getting lost in the flames. Like he was saying, limit your time to half an hour, because it can really draw you in, and you can end up sitting there for like hours just gazing into this fire and watching the way the flames make different pictures and dance around and all kinds of cool stuff. Oh, that's great, lady. So this week we might try to, do some research on the fire folk. And next Wednesday, when we come back to learn about the flower fairies, we can start by, oh, I'd like to see some of them, Ruth. That would be awesome. We can start by discussing the fire fairies and then go into the flower fairies. Um, you know what I'm saying? Like have a little discussion beforehand. I love fire. I'm a Leo. Um, my daughter is Sagittarius. We had a little bit of a fire here this morning, but it's calmed down now. So, you know, that's just life, I guess. But I love fire. I love sunflowers. I live on an island way down south. It's I've got the heater on right now, and it's like in the upper 70s outside. So, and the whole thing with the phoenix really fascinates me. It's like no matter how many times somebody kicks you or tries to hold you down, you know, you may turn to ash, but you always come back, and you come back brighter and stronger every single time. I love the phoenix. In fact, I have a Firebird. The car. I have you know, the vehicle, a Pontiac Firebird, and I love my car. I love that car so much. I think it scares the hell out of my kids sometimes, but I love it. Oh yeah, fire pit is good too. But like if you live in an apartment, like he was saying, you can even use candles, and that's part of, how when people do candle magic for you, and then they're reading the smoke. So that's working with the fire fairies as well, pyromancy. All right, guys, so it looks like we've gone a little bit over an hour, but go ahead and make sure that you're subscribed to my YouTube channel and click the little bell so that you'll receive notifications of when I go live or upload new videos. But I will meet you guys back here next Wednesday for our virtual book club at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, guys. Love you bunches. Bye bye.